Alright guys, on today's video, we are digging into this rattly exhaust. I already disconnected the fan switch. He just put a wire from the pin connector on the sensor, for the oil temp sensor, ran a wire to a switch, and then ran it to ground. Hey, that connects the fan circuit, so it didn't hurt anything to remove it. But this old rusty muffler, which really isn't that rusty, I want to save this thing, but sounds like a can full of rusty nails in there, so I'm going to attempt to either cut it here or here all the way around and open this up and maybe fix it or gut it or something. And then there's a few tiny pinholes we need to fix right here. Let's try to fix this thing. All right, round one. It's beating me. It's loose. Look at this. But it will not come out. So I am suspecting these two holes, which are tubes that go all the way through, have a part to play. There's also right here a weld. Not sure. We're gonna start with trying to remove these two first and see if this can slide out, because I believe this is completely free, but it's meeting resistance. Success. Well, slightly. Pulling this out destroyed the old baffle, which was already destroyed, so I'm not overly sad about that. Knocking these out, the welds are really strong, and I couldn't grind this anymore. If you try to drill it, you're drilling into the actual tubing, so that doesn't work either. Not a big deal. We'll fill this with weld and refinish this. Not worried about that at all. If you look inside of this muffler, you'll see that's the baffle system, and you'll see where an oval used to be. Well, I already assumed that's how this was made, that there was going to be a plate baffle that continued through this muffler. And I saw two tack welds, and I did grind these as well, and I tapped them, and that they were free. But obviously it was rusted solid, or the carbon had built up, and I could not get this baffle out. Now, these two would have to come out regardless for this baffle to actually slide out. My baffle was destroyed, and unfortunately these were stuck in here like this. Use your imagination. So for this unit to come out, these two pieces of pipe will have to be removed regardless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new oval that goes through here that will then slide into this, this will all be connected. And the oval will slide back into here, and we're going to re-tack weld this and recreate the exhaust system pretty much. I wanted to make a quick little diagram because this canister muffler, or a baffled muffler, is pretty interesting to design, and that's why they're so quiet. So this line right here is going to be our dividing wall. That's the thing that separates the muffler, the baffle. The pipe, this one right here, flows straight through to the back of the muffler. Then it works through this hollow cavity back here, comes back through these two small tubes, which are these right here, comes back through the front side of the muffler, okay, which then goes through this pipe right here and flows all the way through to the actual exhaust tip. So rebuilding the muffler is pretty ridiculous, but it's a fun project, and I just have never seen anybody do it before. So why not be the first? Especially on these old Hondas, you can't buy this anymore. And if you did find this muffler, it'd be like $600. So let's get these holes drilled, get these pipes welded in, and I have a feeling that I'm just going to cut this off, put a new 1.5-inch tube all the way through here. It won't be perforated, it won't have this expansion chamber, but this is not necessary. And maybe I'll drill some holes in the tip. Nah, not going to do that, but I will angle cut it, that way it fits correctly and it has enough room for the air to breathe. I just don't feel good putting this rusty metal back in, and you can't see it, but there are some pinholes in here. There. Where my thumb is. I just don't trust it for all this work. Plus, I want to solid weld this baffle to the tube. That way this piece right here will be solid and the dividing baffle will be welded on with these tubes. It'll be one unit that slides in, and then you can tack weld it all the way around. Now I would use a torch or a plasma cutter to cut these out, then hole saw for these, which I will be using. But because I want this to be a video that's accessible for anyone to do this, I'm using the cutoff wheel, and then I'll use my benchtop grinder, and we'll make a cut, and then we'll finish this off by grinding away the line so we have a nice, good slip fit to go inside that muffler canister. Fair amount of grinding happening here. So there we go. There is our plug, and let's drill some holes. Committed. Well, would you look at that? This actually had a little glass pack in it. Right here, that's fiberglass. And that was the only bit of fiberglass that was actually left because it blew out and rusted. There was nothing else to absorb the sound. Now, I'm going to put a solid pipe all the way through here, which means this has to come out because I need to weld to the canister, which is also welded to this pipe. So I need to get all the way down to this base. If it wasn't for the video, I would just use the torch, swipe this off, be pretty easy. Again, since I know a lot of you guys don't have a torch, we're going to use a good old Dremel and attack it from the inside, like so. Not going to lie to you guys, Dremel kind of sucks for big projects like this. I broke 2 discs and said, no more. Grab this guy. These are like 20 bucks, by the way. And you can hit weird angles, just like this. So it's getting the job done, and it's giving us a good surface to weld to. All right, so we have the oval almost perfect. And now we have our template laid out. This is gonna be right here, the input for your exhaust. So that's gonna be coming out of the motor and into the muffler. Should be going through here, through the bottom, okay? Then it will be coming back out through these small tubes, which are actually a little bit larger than the factory. The ID is the same. And then it will bounce back through this side of the muffler and then come out of this hole, which is right here. So I hope this makes sense to you. We're gonna get this cut out and welded together, and I'll show you the finished product. All right, the new baffle has been made, and I did drill the tip. It will soften the velocity coming out of the actual tube. Yes, when I was tapping this muffler back on, which is fully welded up on this side, I completely crinkled this like a can. So wasn't too mad because this was already pretty much completely rusted out anyway. Here's what we made. This tube now slides into the baffle. Made an exhaust tip. This will go on like this, and then we're gonna have this washer as a reducer. So we have some layers of welds we need to figure out, but not too bad. And then we're gonna make some kind of baffle. So we have our end cap welded, which will then slip in to this piece all the way through, and that's what we will weld this flange to this. This is our new baffle that I drilled, and then I took the taper, and why not make it look nice? I did make the holes a little bit bigger than the factory, just a hair. You know, I want it to be quiet, but I still want it to breathe well, which I believe this will breathe better than the factory one regardless. But now we'll flip this over, get our magnet. I'll set this down flush, and then we'll weld it, and then it will slip in just like so into this baffle inside, and that will be our tailpipe at a slight angle, just like the factory one. But the entire muffler is new now, so this snowballed. It's all assembled, and now we're gonna weld it solid. You can see there is the backside of the washer. Gonna weld this solid as well. think this will be pretty good. Oh boy, did I stack some welds. But I got it all solid. This is like thinner than sheet metal, so welding to it is nearly impossible. Normal person weld and then thin sheet metal weld. So a little on the loud side. Last stitch, we're going to add another quiet core. I think that does it. Somewhere like that. Cut it nice and short. And see what it sounds like. Okay, so we have the quiet core welded in now. And I'm gonna add one cross brace. This is a piece of bar stock. Goes from one side to the other to keep this big chamber from flexing, because there was some resonance in here and it sounded a little bit tinny. I'm pretty sure it's from this chamber right here. There's a piece of sheet metal as a backing plate in here, so that's why I chose to weld it in right here as well in the middle and not do two, because I have double thickness on both sides. So let's get it welded up, see what it sounds like. All right guys, the rebuilt exhaust is on, finally. What a process. It sure is ugly on the table, but you can barely even see it. Now that's on the bike, so I could care less. Let's start it up and see what it sounds like. I'm pretty happy with that. Turn it up a little bit. Good putting through the trail speed. Idle. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Let me know what y'all think. I'd love to hear it in the comments. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I know it's a random project, but it can help somebody. So thanks for watching, guys.